Hello, friends. Good morning. Nice to see you checking in with each other. So, here we are. Another day, another Dharma. A little bit of rain here. It was soft, just tip-tapping on the roof. Feels like sitting time. Love and let go. Now, that's been the theme this week, and I've been reflecting on it in a few different ways the last couple of days. And just been occurring to me how, on the one hand, it's a very, very, very full reflection, a full instruction. Sorry, it's like a full instruction. Love and let go. Well, just orientation, love. What does that mean? Just that in a climate of friendliness, non-judgmentalness, which doesn't mean no judgments arise, right? It means that when we see judgments arise, we don't collude with them. That's, we think, the problem is when we talk of love, we say, oh, let's just be loving. It's like, oh, that's nice. One, how do I do that? And secondly, we think that in order to do that, I have to change all kinds of other things. We say, be non-judgmental and friendly. And then we imagine that it involves excluding or getting rid of or transcending all kinds of aspects of our experience. So now, if I'm going to be friendly and judgmental, open and peaceful, no judgment should arise, no impatience should arise, no agitation should arise, etc., etc. No, all those things will arise. They're just so human. The difference is when we see, when we feel, when we meet impatience, agitation, judgment, it's okay. That's the liberation from judgment, the neutralizing of judgment, the freedom around judgment isn't because judgment disappears. It's because there's no problem. Whatever arises, nothing's made into a problem. That's what love is. It's this environment of whatever you are, whoever you are, you're welcome. What would that be like? What would that be like? An inner environment, right? The feel of consciousness as sort of homely. I'm at home in my consciousness. And this home is one that feels safe, relaxed, and where anything is welcome. So then, impatience, agitation, aggression, blame, judgment, anger arise. Okay, you're welcome. And you know what happens to judgment and blame and anger, aggression and agitation and irritation and all? You know what happens when we don't push back against them, when we don't fight against them, when we're not concerned about them? We just feel they lose their power over us. They lose their power because we're not taking them so seriously. It's the thing that's sort of counterintuitive, but we sort of actually feel, on the one hand, we're very attuned to everything, we're very open to everything, we're very welcoming to everything. It's like, hey, you're welcome. On the other hand, we're not taking any of it very seriously. Or maybe more accurately, we're not taking any of it very personally, because it's all very brief. It's all very brief. Think of something last year that you were really, worked up about. Where's it gone? Think of an emotion that maybe just yesterday really had you in its grip for 20 minutes maybe or something, when you felt really indignant or hurt or outraged or whatever it was. And right now, Where's it gone? Where's it gone? I mean, the story might still be running. Yes, but they did that. Yes, but I've, you know. But emotions, they come along and they get us in their grip and they seem so important. Why? Because we take them so personally. But if you don't take them personally, everything is brief. Everything is brief. An emotion actually lasts a matter of seconds, I would say. Not minutes, seconds. Emotion, we think of emotions as coming and being this great sort of swirling weather pattern, and then, but the reason it seems like it's so big and so important is because we invest it with the meaning of colluding with it, taking it personally, fixating on the object, the story that drives the emotion along, what you did, what she said, what they're like, what he's, and then that kind of, then we go round and round in the washing machine of our emotional life. So, love and let go. And, on the one hand, as I say, that feels, like a very full instruction. And on the other hand, unfortunately, maybe it turns out to be a kind of inadequate instruction because, because we fail to heed it. It turns out to be an inadequate instruction just to love, relax into an environment of friendliness and openness, because we get caught up, because we imagine that means I should feel loving and there's no room for anything else, etc. So, on the one hand, I could have just said on Monday morning, hey, love and let go. Let's just practice that together. I could just say that every morning, love and let go. Let's love, orientate to a sense of openness, friendliness, relaxation, and let go of everything that comes through. And then Peggy asked yesterday about a sort of difference between just that letting go, not taking personally, just loving and letting go, and when something, and this is usually something that we recognize as being repetitive or obsessive, something that's got an old and very familiar story, something that we contract around habitually, something that doesn't yield to just being friendly and open and letting go of the detail and the drama. And, some of us might, sometimes in psychological language, we call those sort of core issues or core wounds. And, we might feel like our meditative practices, powerful, helpful though they are, they're not able to do much to my core wounds. And so one might seek out other modalities, doing some work that's more specifically psychological, psychotherapeutic. But I would say, actually, if you're doing psychological work, it's just as important, every bit as important, loving and letting go. Because too often when we're doing psychological work, we're telling a story, oh, this is what happened to me. And in the telling it, we make it stronger, make it more real. Oh yeah, this is really what happened to me, and it was really unfair, and I am, poor me. So you're doing the work to try to liberate yourself from your hard luck story, but you might end up reinforcing your hard luck story. Which is not to say anything against psychotherapy, for example, which of course can be really helpful and powerful. But if you want the psychological work you're doing to be helpful and powerful, then please hold these two qualities in mind: loving and letting go. Love might be focused in different ways, different times. Might be love just holding oneself when you're exploring something painful that's historical, holding yourself very gently, lovingly. That's actually what allows you to go deeply into painful material. You can't go very deeply into painful material if you don't take with you a sense of great tenderness and love and affection and care for the one who suffered in various ways, who suffered neglect or abuse, who suffered misunderstandings and non-attunement, who didn't get the love that they needed at that time, and is still carrying the wounds of that. Whoa, you want to go into that material, you better go armed with a lot of care and tenderness for yourself. And on the way, of course, we go into a painful historical material and we find ourselves feeling, or we find that sort of younger version of us feeling hurt, angry, furious with our carers, caregivers or parents or whatever. Well, there too, there's room for that, to process that, the upsurges of anger that maybe you couldn't express as a child and you're now feeling are still there. Room for that, but love. So you're able to actually get angry with the parent or whatever, sort of go through the psychological process of that, but with the whole thing held in love, so that you don't actually need to demonize the person. You don't actually need to hate the person or even blame the person. You can go through the process of feeling angry with them, etc., but it's sort of held in a bigger vision of love where one realizes, oh yeah, everyone was doing their best. Your parents were doing their best with their limited resources, and you're doing your best with your own limited resources. And your parents were also the children of parents who were doing their best with their limited resources. So then you might go through your crowd of sorrows that violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. I'm just looking at the guest house poem George posted. You can go through your crowd of sorrows, but you don't, it's okay to go through these waves of historical pain, anger, blame. But the sense is that quality of love, you're going through them without creating friction. The sense of the inner life is one where things no longer get stuck. That's what loving and letting go is. Love as the container, the environment, right? And then letting go, or non-clinging, right? Holding everything lightly as the orientation. Love as the environment, the climate, the space, the feel of where everything happens. Where does everything happen? Here, in loving awareness. How do I orientate to everything that happens? Lightly and loosely. What's the result of that? Establishing that climate, and the result of that orientation? The result is a sense of fluidity, sense of ease, sense of freeness. And then we live in that climate of love. We live with that orientation of letting go. We live in such a way that nothing really feels like a problem. We live in a way that nothing feels like a problem. There are plenty of things that might happen that are, unpleasant and uncomfortable. Inwardly, outwardly, situationally, globally. Plenty of things that really need our attention, need some skill, need some care, etc. Plenty of things we might speak about as problems, the problems of my situation, the problems of the world. But, crucially, nothing any longer feels like a problem. Nothing is taken to be a problem. Nothing is clung to as problem. Everything arises in a climate of love. Everything is met with an orientation of non-clinging. Everything unfolds freely by itself. If we want that freedom, we better really let our life be one of creating, or of resting into this climate of love, one of orientating in this way of being loose, open, free. Take your seat, friends, for meditation. And at the risk of sounding like a school teacher, sit up straight. Sit here like you mean it. Bright. Upright. Open. And also be steady. Stable. Relaxed. Settle gently into meditation. And as you do so, as you let your attention gather and seep into the feel of body sitting and of body breathing, and see if this whole field of experience, this inner climate of consciousness, can be one that's gentle, that's loving, one that just receives and tends to the movement of breathing, receives and tends to the dance of sensation. An inner climate that's friendly and warm and receptive. One that allows everything to come and go. What's the inner climate like? And just the feel of the chitta, consciousness. Is there a way, without doing anything, actually mostly through just relaxing a little more, is there a way in which this field of consciousness, right, which is where you are, where your life is, or where you're sitting right now, a way in which this field can be a little more tender, receptive, open to whatever arises? And right now, how's the orientation? Well, just finding out what's your actual attitude to experience right now. Is there an attitude that's in any way pushing or pulling, insisting or resisting? What would it take for the attitude, the orientation, to be one of non-clinging, anupadana, one of letting go, of letting be, of letting come and of letting go? It's an attitude that orientates to experience as if one is transparent, as if nothing need get stuck, nothing need create drama. As if this citta, this heart, mind, consciousness, is Rumi's guest house, wherein each brief visitor, treated for that moment of their brief appearance like an honoured guest, each visitation of life, each momentary display can come and go freely. an inner climate of friendliness, welcome, openness, receptivity, and an orientation to whatever arises of ease and relaxation. Of not picking things up, not taking things seriously, not letting things get stuck. This is loving what arises and letting go of what passes. Nothing to pull for, nothing to push against. Nothing to retain. Nothing to resist. Resting into an awareness that's by its nature loving, receiving of all that comes and goes. Resting into an attitude that's naturally open, free from contraction. One that sees the fluidity of experience. One that unhooks. One that softens the tight fist of grasping. And lets go. May we remember to love and let go more and more and more completely. May we taste the fruits of that loving and letting go, which are the fruits of ease and clarity, of not taking oneself personally, of knowing a true taste of freeness. May all beings live in the light of loving and letting go, in a practice of wisdom and compassion, in a world of harmony and peace. All right. So, here we are. Good way to start the day. Please carry on like that. Yeah, a little time for questions if you have any. A little reminder, like every day, of just the way Sangha Live operates, the fact that it's freely offered, and the opportunity to participate in that by freely offering your support, however modest that might be. The fact that it's directly a support for me, a support for Sangha Live, a support for everybody else that actually then can assist in teachings, support for one's own appreciation of of teachings and practices. So if you feel able to offer support, moved to offer support, thank you, thank you, thank you. Very welcome. Wonderful. And it's probably most of you know the link, but George can just paste it in there. There you go. Thanks, George. Sangha.live/donate. All right, good. Nika says, I have a project in mind I want to pursue, and I believe it can benefit others. Good. I noticed that the line between persistence in a positive sense and rigidity is thin. The line between persistence, right? Just keep going, positive sense, and rigidity. Got to do this, must do this. How can I manage to pursue things persistently, investing effort and love without holding on too tightly? Yeah, good, good. So, the persistence, you might say, what do you say? The positive persistence, or sort of diligence, investing effort and love. Beautiful. That comes from being grounded in the intention, the aspiration. This is good. I know this is good. It's good for me. It's good for others. I'm going to invest in it. Good, all good so far. The rigidity comes from from being grounded not in the present and in the aspiration and the intention on what one's doing, but being fixated on what I think the results should look like. Oh, come on, it's supposed to be like that. It's got to be like that. So when you lose yourself in this sort of idealization of where you're going and what it's supposed to be like, that's where you get tight, rigid, stressed, etc. Right? And you come back to just what you're doing now. Right? Of course, it doesn't mean in the present moment, never giving any thought. Of course, you're giving thought to where you're going, but it's like, where are you grounded? Are you grounded in the action, the step, the engagement, or are you kind of lost in the ideal, the goal, etc.? I wonder. I don't know if you've read my book Awake Where You Are, Nika, but there's a story I tell in there about painting the windows at my teacher's little ashram, and I got very, that was a good project. Right, it was a good project. Paint the windows. Good for the windows. Good for the place. Good for nice. But so I went to town and I got the paint and the brushes. I started to paint the windows, and my teacher said, "Oh no!" He said, "Stop." He said, "Your problem is you're trying to paint the windows." Right? And it's true. I was sort of fixated on this idea of the place looking beautiful, the windows being red, how it would look, how people would. It's like, no. And the way he expressed it was actually, he said, listen, it's not your job to paint the windows. Your job is just to take care of the brush stroke. Just take care of. And then God will paint the windows. And it sounds just like a nice sentiment, but it's true. It's like that. You give away the fruits. That's what karma yoga is in the Indian tradition. Karma yoga is the yoga of action, right? You're giving away the fruits. What I think it's supposed to look like. What people are going to think about, think of me because of it, etc., etc. And you just take care of the brushstroke. Take care of the brushstroke. The brushstroke becomes an act of love. Right, letting go of the results, how long it's going to take, and what it's going to look like. Just loving the action, taking care of the here. mindfulness, basically, or karma yoga, or just a sane way to live. You know. And then what I found after some days of doing that, it really was a step back. I said, wow, look, the windows are red. And it was as if the windows had painted themselves, or as if God had painted the windows. You know? And just relieved of that stress or rigidity of me doing it, and how it's supposed to be, and how long it's going to take. So I wonder if that might be helpful, that discernment between, being in the, attending to what you're doing as a positive, what did you call it, positive investment or positive persistence, as opposed to, and then just noticing when you leave that and you become fixated on the result, how long it's going to take, what it's going to look like, etc. All right, thank you, Nika. And then let's see. Oh, that's nice, Kevin. Do nothing and nothing is left undone. Yes, beautiful. Yeah, others. Oh, you all got lots of wisdom this morning. Handing it over to God. Yes, very nice. All right. Well, friends, nice to sit with you. Not many questions this week, which is fine. It's fine. I really, it was important to me when we started Sangha Live. It was important to me to have a space where this kind of sense of sharing teachings and practices together could be interactive. So helpful for me, the dialogues I was able to have with my teachers. And I wanted to just have a space where, if people have something to say, something to ask, of course, sometimes we feel like if I sit with the questions long enough, they sort of resolve themselves, and that's true. But sometimes it's just helpful to be able to bring one's concerns or one's inquiries, etc. So, yeah, I'm happy to be that we can offer that here. And also, if sometimes there are no questions or a few questions, oh, that's also good, right? It's a sense of, in some ways, a general field of maturing in one's practice. And that says, oh no, well, even if questions arise, I can kind of bear with them. So on the one hand, questions are very, very, very welcome. Really welcome to ask anything and everything in these morning sessions, with the emphasis on the question being, alive for you and real, rather than just sort of abstract or philosophical. So everything welcome, and also when the questions fade and maybe we just, left with that orientation of the morning, a climate of love and receptivity, an attitude of letting go and non-clinging, a willingness to let things move through rather smoothly and simply. So please go gently through the day. Don't take yourself too seriously. Thank you, friends. See you tomorrow.